Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Closed Doors. And today in Emmeloord, well, it's raining. And today is a workshop that's always super creative and super fun. And our model for today is Felisa. Want to know what the workshop is? Well, today's workshop is the workshop Cosplay. And with the workshop Cosplay, you never know what's going to happen. We can use smoke, gels, different lighting setups, also lighting setups that are not normally used for portrait photography. It's always so much fun. So join us for today's episode of Behind the Closed Doors. If you like what we do, you know the drill. Subscribe to our channel, leave comments below, smash that like button because we really like that. But most of all, tell other people about our channel so we can grow. Are you guys ready? And let's go. And as you guys know, we are doing the Rogue distribution in the Netherlands next to IQ Wire and ClickPropsBackdrops, of course. And look at this, and we finished the whole setup. So we have a rack with the flash benders, of course the adapters to mount the round system on our speedlights. We have the separate components like the grid, the gel holder, and of course the dome. And here we have some gels, and combo gels. Of course, we have the expo disc, and all the way down we have the kits. Loads of kits. Those are absolutely amazing. You can use the magnetic system on speedlights and of course the round strobes. Very, very cool stuff. I love using it. But today, no speedlights today. We're going to use the Hansel strobes, of course, because with Cosplay, we want to use the big modifiers. We want to use the gels, the grids, the beauty dishes, and whatnot more. It's gonna be amazing. I absolutely love that about this workshop. There are no rules. You don't have to see the proper face, you don't have to see the proper body of the model. You can play with whatever you want because hey, it's cosplay, it's about superheroes, about stuff that doesn't really exist, or do they? And that just gives you so much opportunity. So that's why this is without a doubt one of the most creative workshops. And as you know, we are the distributor in the Netherlands for ClickPropsBackdrops, those amazing backdrops. And of course for today, we also changed some of the backdrops in our studio. So let's take a look at what we have now. Okay, so this is our main shooting area, although we have several. Let me just go through it. So over there we have 10 rolls of seamless paper, which in all honesty we hardly use anymore. And over here in the corner we have our chintz reclaimed Pro Fabric. Then we have our clippings. I think it's called clippings. I absolutely love that one. It looks like it's very busy, but it photographs like a charm. And the red metallic, which I think for cosplay, we will find something to do with this. So that's going to be awesome for that. Okay, let's turn around. So over here, we have an electrical system with 3 ClickPropsBackdrops. And those are, of course, all Pro Fabrics. And then on our, we call it the stage, we have 1 ClickPropsBackdrops, including a ground piece. That's very nice if you're on a location and you want to just shoot with 1 backdrop. You have the backdrop and you have the floor part. So that's pretty awesome. And then up there, there are also 3 Pro Fabrics. So that's the setup in our studio. Oh, and by the way, we're always curious to see your setup in your studio. So make sure you send them to us via social media or via email, and we will post them on our website. If, of course, you use IQ Wire, Rogue, or ClickPropsBackdrops. Oh, and I do have to show you one more thing. This is actually a recent addition to our studio. Now, of course, we do model photography, people, and, of course, location photography. But we also do product photography. Now, that's not something I advertise with a lot because most of the time they're just products, right? And up until recently, we actually made a setup for product photography. And because we get more and more questions about product photography, we decided to not make a setup that we have to build up every time again, but switch over to a product table. And I have to be honest with you guys, I should have done that way sooner because it makes life so much easier. So let's take a look at what we got. Okay, so here we have a product table and it's a Bresser. And it assembles really easy. It's below 200 euros. It's pretty wide. And the nice thing is This is the white matte side. But you can also turn it around and then you have a really nice glossy side that gives you a little bit of that, that's mirror effect on the floor. It can be very luxurious, but we mostly go for this side, the matte side. So you can just shoot white on white. It's boring, but hey, it pays the bills, right? And it's fun to do, let's be honest. But if you want to do something like this, I highly recommend a product table. We tried tents, but this just works so much better. And one of the things I actually like about the product table is that you can also place a strobe underneath the table. And that's something that I didn't do before. So you always had this little bit of a shadow on the floor. And you can always clone that out, of course. But with the product table, if you place a strobe underneath and you use a light meter and you set it up very, very precisely, you can get it pure white on white without any shine on your product. So that's absolutely highly recommend a product table and not a tent. We tried it before with a tent and that wasn't really satisfactory. So this, highly recommended. But today it's about model photography. Now I also often get a question about, hey Frank, how do you shoot in the studio? What do you use? Most of the time I switch between using my iPad Pro or the MacBook Pro to shoot to. And of course we're always shooting tethered. Now, we also want to see the images on a big screen TV, right? So that's why we're using a big screen TV in our studio. But let me explain how we connected this, because this is a little bit tricky. But it works like a charm. So this is our big screen TV. And in the back, we're using a Chromecast. Let me just turn over the TV so you guys can better see it. So this is just an old Chromecast. And that means that I don't have to connect the computer or the iPad Pro with HDMI anymore. And you might wonder, what is the advantage of not using HDMI anymore? Well, when you're using HDMI, you always have to place your laptop or, of course, your tablet close to the screen. If you are further away, you need a longer HDMI cable, and that makes the risk of tripping over a cable a lot more, well, easy to do, right? By using a Chromecast and using an app on my iPad, I can actually stream my screen towards the Chromecast. And this is the part that's interesting, because normally, of course, Apple works with AppleTV. By using that app, we actually make it possible to use a Chromecast on your iPad Pro. Now, there are many apps out there and some are really expensive. This one was about €2.99, I believe, and it works like a charm. So in a moment I'm going to show you which app that is. And of course, for cables, I love to shoot on a distance. So that means that we're using 10-meter tether cables. And because most cables only go to 4.7 meters, we actually are using IQ wire cables. These are red, so very visible in the studio. And for the 10 meters, we have two boosters. As you can see here, one, and here we have somewhere. Here we go. We have the other one. An angled connector on one side for in the camera, and of course a clearly labeled one on this side. Now the boosters are also lit, so in the studio you can literally see your boosters. We have a little Velcro tie here to make sure that everything is nice and neat on the stand. And of course, to make everything safe, we're using our own cable block. And this one is nice. You place it under your camera. It's an Arca mount, and on the bottom, and this is the difference with other solutions, we actually have a little holder which makes it easier to take it off and tighten it on your camera. You don't need a screw or a coin anymore. And of course, it's bright red. Our camera today, Sony A7R4. Of course, right? Yeah. And the strobes, well, Hansel. That's gonna be fun. Now, of course, when shooting to an iPad Pro, you have to realize that the iPad Pro is not cheap. It's cheaper than a laptop, but it's still not cheap. So you don't want to fall down with your laptop or with your iPad, right? So that's why we use a special holder on a stand. And let me show you which one we use, because this one is pretty awesome and it's not that expensive. So you've probably seen this one before in videos. It's a Ulanzi and it's light metal. It works like a charm because this one, you can actually extend this way, but you can also make very slight turns. And this way your iPad is very secure, but you don't break the glass because it's not there or too tight. And we're using a little ball head to make sure that we can move the iPad around in any direction we want. Because let's be honest, outside in the sun, you have to make sure that you can change your angle. Inside the studio, it doesn't really matter. But outside, it's very important that you angle your iPad a little bit so you don't have any sun glare in your screen, which destroys your preview. So let's place the iPad on and let me show you how it looks when it's assembled. Okay, and this is how the iPad Pro looks on the Ulanzi stand holder. And of course with the IQ wire cable connected, using the Velcro to mount it to the stand. And I still have to connect the camera, of course. So let me show you which app we use for the TV mirroring. Okay, so I'm using TV Mirror Pro. You can just click on it and then choose your Chromecast, cast screen, and start on broadcast. 3, 2, 1. And you can swipe this away. And now, over there, we have our screen and no cables. But how do we shoot tethered into the iPad Pro? Because you see I'm using a USB cable. Now in all honesty, I prefer the USB connection all the time. Because you can do Wi-Fi and then you don't need any cables. But you can't transmit raw files fast enough. And the Wi-Fi connection is often not that stable. Especially when it really counts, the Wi-Fi connection often drops down. That's my experience. Sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't. And those times that it don't work, well, that's when the stress comes in. So on the iPad Pro nowadays, since yesterday, you can use, of course, Capture One to also shoot via USB. But then you pay, in my opinion, a lot of money for great software, by the way. But it can be a lot cheaper. I'm actually using an app called Cascable. You can buy it for around 70 euros on the App Store. And it shoots with a lot of cameras, Canon, Nikon, Sony. Just make sure you check online that your camera is supported for wired transmission. So let me show you the app very quickly. And you've probably already seen it, but let's make the video complete. Okay, so under here we have Cascable. Okay. And the nice thing about Cascable is that you can also set in your reference folders or your mirror folders. So that means it doesn't save it in the sandbox, but it actually saves it on a different folder on your iPad. And from there you can import it into Lightroom very quickly and to the cloud. Great solution. And if you also want to charge your iPad, your camera, and you want more USB ports, you can of course also connect something like this. But do make sure that you have a USB-C connector that also supports power. Not a lot of those docks also support power for an iPad Pro or a MacBook Pro, so make sure you check that out. Okay, that's about it. I'm ready for the workshop. Are you? Let's go. Okay guys, that was it. The workshop cosplay with our model Felisa. I hope you enjoyed all the results and of course the behind the scenes and what we told you at the start of the video. If you like what we do, subscribe to our channel, leave comments below, smash that like button because we really like that, but most of all, tell other people about the channel so we can grow. Stay creative and see you next time. Bye guys.